songs are slow and sad. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Welcome to the Sad Song Queens podcast, where we dive deep into the songs that make us cry. I'm Laura Webb.
And I'm Lindsay Wolfington.
We are two friends and fellow music supervisors who are obsessed with sad songs. It all started when we used to share an office and we started sharing and discussing our favorite sad songs. It began as a competition to make the other emotional. Through our work as music supervisors, we were always elated to be tasked with finding sad songs. We found ourselves looking up the lyrics and looking online for interviews with the musicians to find out the real story, because we're so curious. Sometimes we found it, but often we didn't.
But then we thought, what if we figured it out ourselves? What better way to get the story than by having authentic conversations with the creators of the songs? Today, we welcome SYML. He hails from the Seattle area and joins us today live in the studio. SYML is known for his tender, quiet, and heartbreaking songs. We have come to know Brian Fennell through his stunning songs and have been fortunate enough to use both his music on several of the projects we worked on separately. SYML as an artist has had 3.5 billion streams and 158 sync placements overall, and the various versions of the song Where Is My Love has amassed 1.7 billion streams and had 42 placements.
On a personal note, after his song Where's My Love was in Teen Wolf, a show I worked on, the song charted for 20 weeks on the Billboard Hot Rock Songs chart. The song has now been certified platinum. For both of our help placing his songs, SYML was kind enough to send us a gold record.
And now, here is SYML, Where's My Love, alternate version.
And then stick around, and we'll have the full interview with SYML afterwards.
So grab those tissues and let's get into it, because we all need a good cry.
Just come home. Into the clouds, high above. Ooh, if you play, I'll bleed the same. Ooh, if you're scared, I'm
Welcome to the podcast, Brian. So glad to have you here.
And we're going to dig into your song, Where Is My Love, which, Laura and I can't help but view songs through a placement lens.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a song that begins with solo piano is always like, ooh, okay, I'm in, right? Like if you have an emotional moment, you're like, oh, okay, I'm in. But we usually start our episode with kind of like what we were thinking about when we listened to it, and then we'll hear what it was, you actually wanted us to think when you wrote it.
Yeah, what our theories.
I mean, I think part of the beauty of it is that Where Is My Love is such like vague, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it could apply to so many situations. Is your love your dog or your spouse or a child?
Mm-hmm.
So I think like I always kind of approach it as like the boyfriend-girlfriend mentality, like she left. But then I was listening to it the other day, and the whole imagery of the woman or not being in the bed, right, and being up. And for some reason, I was like, I think now knowing that like you're a dad and you have kids, maybe because of your latest song, of kind of about your kids. But I was like, what if they went through a miscarriage? And like usually there's so much focus on the woman going through it, but the guy feels it too. Like, we bleed the same. Like that's kind of what made me think of that. But anyway, so that's one direction I went.
Yeah.
But what's the real story?
Oh my gosh. I think, and just listening back to it now, which I haven't listened to that version for a long time, and I can hear it in my voice. Like, I recorded 2 songs, years before SYML was even like had a name or had a reason to share music in the world. And it was Where's My Love and The War. And both those songs, I think they would just like rip something out of me that was like, in hindsight now, I can look back and say like, well, that was me sort of preloading loss before I'd really gone through it. Like we were, I was newly married, pre-kids. My family was all alive and healthy and, really like thriving. And so why did this song come out of me, that was like pretty desolate feeling. Part of it is, I think where I live in Seattle is rainy most of the year. And so a lot of that piano is like rainy. I think literally in Pro Tools, it was saved originally as like rainy Seattle song or something.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And then at least in this case, this song was the piano first and the melody and lyric second. And it was that, imagine losing and having that love ripped away from you makes me at least appreciate the things I have more. It's like this weird sort of scenario that you play out in your head of like, well, what if I lost everything? And like the thing I love the most, and it could be a partner or a parent or a kid or a dog. And because like, that human feeling of like, well, where'd you go? Like, and then having this almost childlike experience with somebody not being around anymore. I think everybody reverts back to that whether it's losing a partner, losing a parent, a friend, and you're like, you feel like a kid again. You're like, I thought that you were going to be here and we were going to be, together in this. So heartbreaking. And at least in this first initial version of it, it's really bare. There's only a couple elements happening. And again, listening to my voice, I'm like, dang, like I sing it so differently now.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, how do you say that you sing it now? Like,
there's
performing
so much
live and stuff?
Yeah. And I tend not to play it on piano anymore.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So I think the dynamic arc of how I was singing it just follows that sort of, I don't know, it's not a folk song. It's like this, something else, cinematic, and it just bleeds through. It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm awesome, I guess.
Avi.
No, I mean, I think and re-listening to it too, I feel like whoever you're singing about too, like I can tell there's so much love there. Like it comes across in your performance that you're just like, oh, I mean, it's not put on. It's like you're really like feeling those feelings and going there, and it's very authentic. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's actually really important. I try to, to varying degrees to keep that in everything. Like, because I think people can tell, and if they believe you, then that's the goal.
Well, then you must be a really good actor because you weren't actually singing about a real situation. You were just like, imagine if this happened.
Yeah. It was a creative exercise, really, and an emotional exercise.
Yeah, I saw a quote when I was doing some research, and it says, I've come to learn to appreciate the positive through imagining the worst and the saddest things.
Yeah, it's true. I'm obsessed with like the end of the world, and I'm obsessed.
Really?
Like, yeah, I find beauty, I think, in the I guess, yeah, it all ending. I don't know. Like, I'm not alone. I know this. Like, there's
Oh, yeah.
so many of the movies and pieces of art I like are around, like Cormac McCarthy as an author. Like, all his work was just about the end of the world, like to some degree, and I found it so beautiful.
Do you have like a go bag and like do
No,
you go that
I'm
far?
I'm not. No, because I'm like, look, I'm just gonna spend my time, instead of packing a go bag, writing these go bag songs. I guess,
Okay,
I don't know.
yeah, there you go.
So I can like
It can
rest in that.
soundtrack the people while they
Exactly. I'll just be on the porch, being like, yeah, where are you gonna go? I'll be here.
I predicted this. Here's a song.
You're gonna need the song as you go.
We're here with like really good studio headphones
Yeah.
on, so I do feel like I heard the vocal differently.
Yeah.
How many cymbals are we hearing?
Oh my gosh.
You probably don't remember.
In terms of the vocal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably just 3.
Right.
Yeah.
What like inspired you to add strings?
Gosh. I mean, piano and strings, I think they sort of live, obviously they've been around for a long time. And before
know
we
them.
recorded,
Yeah.
anything. And I think that they tend to live, I don't know the science behind it, but like cello, for instance, is like really, really human voice like. And a lot of the piano register, like you can cover such a wide spectrum of EQ essentially with strings and piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you guys know this too, like when you're trying to build with a scene or create a character, like the more human it can feel, the better. And so for a song like this, to be able to have those sort of organic, human-driven things that almost feel like people speaking, yeah, I don't know. That put me creatively in that place for sure.
It's funny, I hadn't even thought about that. But I mean, I connect to it as you're like going through listening to music. But I hadn't even thought that it does sound like a human voice.
It's like more. It's like
yeah.
It's almost like wailing.
Yeah.
Strings,
More,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like mournful and, that I think there's something there for sure.
I mean, we definitely always perk up when we're like, ooh, in a slow intro.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, that works so well for placements.
Yeah.
It also, I think, like, when you cry, you kind of make a high-pitched noise that you can't really create otherwise. Like, I actually always think when, like, in a lot of Sarah McLachlan's old songs, like, her voice crack, like, makes you, like, that's what happens when you cry or when you're upset. Like,
breaking, yeah.
So it's kind of another version of that. I mean, obviously, it's interesting that you say that, but we think about that sometimes when, sometimes it's finding a song and sometimes it's working with the composer. But, when a director or producer really wants to get a emotion out of a scene, you're like, well, like piano's the first stop.
Yeah, right.
And strings are the second stop.
Right.
And obviously you don't have to do that. But yeah, it's a very human emotion. So it's kind of a shortcut to feeling.
To communicating something, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and like you don't always need all the bells and whistles, right? Like when you're trying to have that connection, like sometimes the more raw, the better,
I think if you sometimes like you'll go back and listen to a song that you loved 10 years ago and it'll feel like a lot less built up than you remember it because your brain like filled in so much that's not actually there because there was space allowed to do that. And I think, foreshadowing that when you're recording a song or writing a song is really hard to do because you want to put all the makeup and bells and whistles on it to be like, look how pretty. But you need to give people space.
I know, because I would say sometimes we get demos for, if we're having a song written for a certain scene or project. And sometimes I'm like, I like the demo the best.
Demo-itis. It's a real thing.
I know. And you're like, oh, you didn't need all that. But I mean, sometimes it calls for it, obviously. But I think when you're going for the emotions and you have these sad moments, I think spare the better, generally.
There's like a vulnerability to it.
Yeah.
I was actually, I listened, in preparing for this, we listened to the other versions of your songs. And you even hear it at the end of the first verse. You have space in this one, where in your like radio single version, there's no space anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's part of what makes it a little bit more emotional. Right? And then I think also the beauty of I don't know. Do you call it the radio single version?
We should. I mean, it's pretty funny whenever I like get to speak about it. There's no real commercial reason why this type of song should have gone to radio. And to actually go around the world as much as it has, I don't think that it fits any sort of mold. And I'm not saying that from a point of pride, like in this moment. I think that it's just like practically really hard to imagine it as an upbeat type of engaging song. But yeah, when we went to go make the smash radio hit version, it was like, what do we take out? What do we leave? What's important to the song? What are we trying to make people focus on and hear? But yeah, it was really not overthought. Like, I think there were little things that we took out in terms of timing and getting it into the whatever that mold is for radio. But
right. Got to get to the hook.
Yeah.
Faster,
don't bore
right?
me. Yeah.
Well, but it's also really effective too. Like, I always define those songs as like quiet with pace, right? Like that's like finger picking guitar gives you that. So it's emotional and longing while still like moving. Yeah. Right. So especially if you have like a montage that like needs movement.
You know what's crazy about this song is that we recorded it in my longtime best friend's like attic, and the hard drive that it was on just got lost. Like the classic sort of
where is my love?
Where's my hard drive? Where's my future? What is happening?
Oh, no.
So when we went to go make the more sort of acoustic radio accessible version, we had to just rebuild it. I was just going to take the vocal stem and play guitar and like add a couple things. But because we lost it, we had to reimagine. And so that's a whole different vocal and a whole different everything. Which I mean, like in hindsight, it's like, thank God it got lost, because it wouldn't have been the same and I would have interpreted the song differently and all that. But yeah, it's the only time that's ever happened, is something that got lost.
So has the meaning of the song changed for you?
Yeah, because when I wrote it in early days, I mean, I didn't anticipate it really being shared so much or being related to so much. So now I think it's a totally different beast. It's like when I play it wherever I am in the world, which is the other thing, like somebody who doesn't speak English as their first language, being able to connect with something musically, I could be saying, I think, almost anything. And it's the music and the melody and the mournfulness and that sort of wailing, which is like universal. So I have a much more, I want to say detached, but not in a bad way, like approach to that song now, where it's like it's this own creature living by itself in the world, and I'm just sort of like touching it occasionally.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And what do you think when you see, since it's been placed so many times, or synced as we call it, what do you think, like, oh, that's an interesting interpretation each time, kind of?
Yeah, when I especially love when friends are like, oh, I just heard it in this, or I just heard it like like the setting that it's in, whether it's somebody's on in an airport somewhere and it's on, or like in a scene of a show they're really invested in. I think it like takes my friends out of it sometimes. They're like, oh, Jesus, like.
Right. I know this song.
Yeah. Brian, like, your voices taking over my show. But anytime, like going back to the first placement I would have gotten, years ago in my first band, which I think it was like The Hills or something.
I worked on that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks for the $500.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yep. I was a coordinator.
We used it on One Tree Hill.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had like a party and it was so, so special. Like what a amazing goal to have reached. So now, like, I still try to approach it with that same type of, I can't believe this is like my real life. And when a song gets used multiple times, it's like, I mean, we saw it like after Teen Wolf, like the next, like those fans, pun fully intended, were very rabid.
They really are.
And claimed the song as their own and like thought I wrote it for these characters. And like, they were like, yeah, it'll never be used again because it's only for my show. And then there were like warring factions of fans of other shows when it got used in the next one. So yeah, I am amazed every time it happens and think it's the coolest.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember we used James Vincent McMorrow in like two pivotal scenes in Teen Wolf, and I met him and he was like, yeah, the YouTube comments are going off.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't know what a Stydio was, which you
Yeah.
would know too,
I
which
do.
for people that did not watch Teen Wolf was Styles and Lydia, and everyone shipped them, and that was their name.
Yeah.
But he was like, I didn't know, was that a disease?
Yeah, it does sound a little bit STD-ish.
I know it does.
Yeah.
But I was laughing. I was like, oh, right. That must be so odd for you to be
Yeah.
like, this is my song. Yeah. And then you get like warring, like
Yeah.
fan theories and like.
Well, what's crazy is like I didn't consider myself like an artist as SYML by that
Right,
point. I was just like, this is a moniker to release music. And that was the first little jump where I was like, I guess I'm doing this and got to write more songs now.
So you had left Barcelona and then you
Yeah.
decided to be solo. And
Yeah.
like, how's that process different now? Or
Yeah.
I mean, at that
it's-
time, I guess.
I'm still very close with all those guys. So it never ended in a way that was like, okay, this has been fun, but I'm going to go do my own thing now. Even though Where's My Love and The War were written and recorded like 3 years before the band was done.
Wow.
It was like the band had moved on from that type of sound, and the more, we were just talking about Keen, like post those early 2000 years of piano rock, which Barcelona sort of participated in a bit. I think I was like, yeah, well, I don't play piano anymore, I guess, so this is going to just live in the attic, literally. And then as it started to grow into more of a, oh, okay, this is my project now and my artistic outlet. Yeah, I don't know. Creating by committee, I think anybody would agree, is like pretty hard, no matter how long you do it. And so being able to be alone, rainy studio, was like it must have been something that I had just been waiting for, because it just started to pour out. And still to this day, like there's no lack of inspiration there. And I do get to collaborate with plenty of people in the music now, but love just writing by myself. And yeah, it was a good transition.
So that day when you sat down to write it, had you been writing the lyrics in your head already, or you just were playing the piano and it was Seattle rainy?
Yeah.
Like, where were you emotionally that day?
I mean, it was just a normal cloudy, rainy day. And it was one of those songs that happened really fast. It was like just probably a few hours. And it wasn't like, if you look at the song, I don't know how long it is, but it's not a normal form. And it was more just like a exercise than it was an intentional songwriting session. But I don't remember feeling overwhelmingly sad. It is a very sad song, but I also think that like I was talking about earlier, the perspective that you gain from listening to a sad song, much less like creating a sad song, is just profound. And seeing early success of that song gave me like license, I think, to just be like, well, there's no rules. Like it doesn't have to exist in a certain form. I can say whatever I want, and there's going to be a human that relates to it. And I don't need to be upbeat and have like tempo to get on radio and all the classic sort of industry trappings that would suck the life out of a song.
So interesting that you think it's like an abnormal structure, because nothing feels abnormal about it. It feels just right.
Yeah.
But
But it is sort of weird. There's not really like, I don't know what the chorus is. Like we've had to break it down over all these years of being like, I think there's almost like a more of a formal understanding of what a bridge was in songs. I think that's kind of what people call the chorus in this song anyway. And there's obviously verses, but and then it just sort of ends. It's so weird.
Well, your bridge is almost just the instrumental part.
Yeah.
It's like a
But maybe that's like, I think we all listen to things, and sometimes we go through trends where it's like formulaic, but maybe that's because it gave our ear a break and it was like broke through, or I don't know. Right. Because I'm like, it just feels right.
We just went on the journey. That's right.
Yeah.
It takes you on the journey and end scene.
It's so funny when you mentioned in the intro about it being on the charts and stuff. Like whenever I'd go, because the first format we went to was alternative, and that had been Barcelona's genre, and I was just like, wait, I'm back here? Like, this is not an alternative. What are we doing? Like, I'd show up to these radio stations, and it would be, like, that was right when Billie Eilish was starting out, so it would be, like, Billie Eilish, and then, like, some kind of more obvious rock bands. And I definitely, like, was like, well, I got to wear a leather jacket. I got to, like, help myself along here so people, like, buy it that I'm an alternative artist. But really what it was is I do think it was just different enough. And that happens sometimes then and works. I was just lucky.
I know, like, I don't even know in current music now, are they even, like, alternative, or at least, like, on Sirius,
Yeah.
is, like, the stuff that we listened to in the 90s
Yeah.
and early aughts.
Oldies. Watch out.
Right. And I'm like, wait, so what is the new, we are in a rock crisis,
Yeah.
or, like, I don't, like, what do we call it all, right?
But it's not alternative rock, it's just
Yeah.
alternative?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's alternative. And I mean, obviously the term indie and like that had a different meaning 20 years ago than it does
Right.
now. I do think that there's something with like sort of guardrails being in music. And that's what I think you take some of the guardrails off of how you sing and write, like whether it's Zach Bryan and all that type of like what's under him in that pyramid. I think that some of that success is attributed to less formula and less safety when it comes to like how somebody writes and sings and performs. And I think alternative has been that in the past, whether you had like Hozier early or Lumineers early or whatever, right? Like stuff that might not be considered rock and roll, but just sounded less polished and less like it cared less. I don't know.
What is it like to be on tour? Like, I feel like, okay, we've explored your radio career.
Yeah, right.
And now...
Oh my gosh, my illustrious radio career. I love being in new places. So former band never got to go overseas, and that was like one of the first places I got to go as SYML. And I was gone. This was never the plan, right? So like as it grew, we were just, me and my partner were continuously trying to catch up to like be like, because in some ways I don't think it was overnight. In other ways it did feel like it happened really fast, but being gone was a big part of that. And we had just started a family, and it was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? I love what I'm doing, and I get to go around the world and stuff, and playing shows and connecting with people with this music that I really care about was really special, still is today. But I think every year it's like a new check-in of like, how are we going to make this work for us personally and as a family, and how are we going to be happy through it? Like, because if it's not that, then it's not worth it.
Right.
So I feel like I'm a little bit weird in that touring does not inform anything creatively for me. Like, at least that I can tell. I like being home and just working at home and being around the inspiration that exists there. But seeing the world is amazing, and music is just a part of that.
Well, I also think like your show is so different in that it's almost like, come listen to 10 to 15 sad songs, right? Or quiet songs, right? You don't really have a rocker that you're like,
not a lot.
You could put your lighter in the air for most of them.
Right.
Fire hazard.
Yeah, geez.
I know, right?
The tears will put it out.
Okay, a phone.
Good point.
A phone's not very poetic.
No.
But I think that's so cool. Like you've broken the mold in multiple ways.
Yeah, I think so. I talk about it with my team around me, that just reminding ourselves continually that we don't need to ever try to fit a mold. Like the thing that made you special, like, is you, and that's it. And always be listening to that, I think is the best advice.
I agree. Like you see that, like, the thing, like, you get into an artist and it's like the first album, maybe the second album, but then it's sort of like they just kind of go into the mold. And this is obviously a generalization, but they go into the mold of like, okay, this is the path that everyone takes. But you're like, but I fell in love with like the raw and the you. And I mean, it's good that you're sticking to like the who you are and sitting with what's right with you,
I think that's, the fear mostly if something works is that like, we'll have to go redo that a bunch of times and continue to pay the bills that way. When it's really like, well, if you do want to go make a weird dance record and a weird Western, desert type situation, like, go do that. Like, you have to get out of your own way, I think.
I would listen to both.
That's what's coming.
Is that what's coming?
By the way,
Straight up.
Please do, because I would listen to both of those.
No, it's that's again, going back to the happiness thing, is like, if that's what makes you happy, and you have to follow whatever that is inside of you.
Do you think, which I've seen this with like or when I've read about other artists, like that you do make the sad songs, but you feel like you actually are probably like a happy-ish person, but like it's just like a thing to get out of you, kind of?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like 100% therapeutic and cathartic to be able to get out the darkest things in your heart and your brain in the form of music, especially if it's like helpful to somebody else. I think that's at least one of the main, I think, purposes of why we have music.
Right.
and in the sort of form that we do it. I'm not a generally sad person at all. And but it's just dark somewhere, and so it has to come out.
I agree. Like to not address any of it, I feel is very inauthentic and
Yeah.
Well, so when you are sad, what do you do? Do you create? Do you listen?
Oh, I just go super inward and am not helpful to anybody if I don't get it out in that way. But the more that music is the career, and that's like I have to continually sort of like wake myself up and be like, this is your actual job, and it's okay to be honest about the things that are hard about it. And I think I've done the mistake of working through something internally, getting it out in a song, and then being like, good, don't need to talk about it. Like with my wife or with my kid or with my parent, that I somehow solved that puzzle by writing about it. Where it's like, no, actually, you're still like a person in this family and in this world, and you do need to communicate like to people.
Right.
I think that's a trap of being an artist sometimes.
That is interesting, though, because sometimes you're like, oh, I did that. Like, I had my cry, or I got it out. Yeah. Now I can go back, and they don't even know I cried or made a sad song.
Or felt about it.
Yeah.
The disconnect sometimes between your real life and then what music is a weird dream state.
Does your wife or kids be like, oh, I didn't know you feel that way, or after hearing, or did they get?
It has happened for sure. My kids are still young,
right.
And so they haven't delved, I don't think, into it. But I do see, like, when we go through hard things as a family, I do see that their like vocabulary of like being able to talk about things is probably informed by the role of music in our family, and that they are emotionally sort of in touch and intelligent and intuitive to others. With how they feel, So I won't take full musical credit for that, but I do think that it helps us talk about it.
That's awesome.
In the music you listen to, or by hearing your music?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, because they do listen to my music and they like it,
Okay.
and I wouldn't say they like love sad music, but I do think they like emotional music.
I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. But they have not quite, I don't think they've embraced sad music. I feel like I always loved it. I feel like seventh grade, like I was a big 10,000 Maniacs fan. And then like when the Cranberries came out, I was like, I'm just going to sit on the kitchen floor and cry.
Yeah, have a good cry.
And that's the same age my daughter is. And, she loves Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift. And I guess they're sad, but like her favorite songs are never the sad one.
Well, what's funny? I think there's a difference between like angsty and sad.
Right.
Yeah.
And angst in those teenage years is like everything. For me, it was like post-grunge, like Smashing Pumpkins, and so melodic but heavy and just full of angst.
Right.
But then like it was maybe early 20s, like right before I turned 20, it was when I started hearing music in that just please gut me of all of the, like make me as sad as possible, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When I was 16, we moved to Germany. I'd grown up in the US and at 16, and I'm like, wait, I don't, I'm not getting my driver's license. I'm not doing all these things. And I moved from all my friends, and I just listened to Jeff Buckley and Radiohead in my room being like,
Two good picks. For,
you were
for
emo before it was emo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always, like, looking back too, when you look at like, but and my parents were like, enough already. Like, you ruined my life.
Oh, I would have been like, awesome.
No, yeah. Well, yes. But they were just sort of like, can you come out of your room, please?
You're like 9.
Yeah, I know.
Mama.
Yeah. But.
So your dad passed away, and you wrote a whole album about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
So he died of pancreatic cancer, and it's one of those like awful diagnoses, right?
Yeah.
Where you can see it coming, and there's not a big question mark about what's going to happen. But he lived with it for like 2 years, and knowingly anyway. And again, when I was talking about preloading like sadness, that was that 2 years. So like from a creative standpoint and a living with him pandemic, a lot of it was in the pandemic. I think I just mourned like before he was gone a ton. And then, so I was able to, he heard some of the music, but I kept a lot of it from him because I didn't know if it would be helpful. So when I was making that record, the producer, Phil Eck, he had just had his first kid, like right around the same months that I lost my dad. And so we were both coming into this creative process like with two very different ends of the spectrum of life.
Yeah.
But it was great because it disarms you of sort of everything, and you're left with a really clean palette, very specific palette in terms of like, well, my thoughts are all here and they're all being colored by this thing that happened to me. And I felt like the songs that came out of that time, I don't know if I'm being like critical of myself, which is not what you're asking me to do. It feels like it is a little bit on the nose. And I tend to not like to write that way, like we were talking about earlier with being open for interpretation. And like some of these songs are literally like, no, this is like what happened to me and this is what I think about it. And I think that they were helpful for me. They were helpful for other people to hear. But I was pretty relieved when that type of writing stopped for me. So it, I don't know. It really shaped me as a dad and as a partner. And at some point it felt maybe a little bit gratuitous. I think it goes back to that, like you need to be like living in the world. Like you can't just sort of bad things happen and you retreat to a song, as weird as that is, you know.
How did it change you as a parent and partner?
I mean, it made me have more patience with myself and, of course, with the kids, which they require a lot of it.
Yes.
But it gave me just great perspective of like, okay, like my dad was like this age when I was doing these things, and now like I have this person that's going through the same thing, so I just want to be super present. And the idea of time being so elusive and never being enough of it, and gosh, yeah, I don't know. It really shaped my worldview in a great way, I think. Yeah.
Have you heard of the term ambiguous loss?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Yeah. So I just lost my father recently, and he had Alzheimer's for 10 years, and we essentially lost him. And you know it's coming, but we didn't know when, obviously.
Yeah.
But so it's like you're mourning, like that you had that. You know it's coming. You're still losing him. And like I lost my dad, who he was. And then we had this new version too. But it's a weird state. And but I really love the line in The Day My Father Died about letting, I mean, this one really spoke to me for obvious reasons, but letting go doesn't mean he'll ever leave your side.
Yeah. Well, geez.
I know. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, and I like keep stuff with it, you know.
Yeah.
And actually, I haven't told you this yet. Sorry, but I was like, we always love looking at lyrics and like, oh, thank you. it'll once I say it, but we always look at lyrics, and we always, you know, we love sad songs, and I try to like look at the interviews and like what was going on with people and like what's going on in their life, but my dad and I really shared music, and he loved music, and he loved sad songs too.
Yeah.
And he would literally print out lyrics, and he would call me, and we would talk about songs. And I was doing that this week, and I was like, oh my God, he's part of this.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
and I'm sorry I didn't tell you that ahead of time, but I don't need to. But then I was like, right, he's here.
Yeah.
Like he's with me doing this. Like
Yeah.
that's. Because that was like our love language,
Yeah.
you know. Like I remember when I moved to Germany, and like I was like so mad at them, and my mom was like, "Yeah, I told Dad to drive you to school and play music because that's the way in with you."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Parents.
I know, but yeah. So anyway, it's just interesting that even like this is part of So
Yeah. My gosh, thanks for sharing that.
oh, thank you. Was your dad a big fan of your music?
He was like, and I have great friends that sort of still represent what he was to me in terms of being curious and proud and would think like before he passed away, I got to do this Nike commercial that was a cover of Here Comes the Sun. And
Dang.
like George Harrison's estate had to like approve it.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the last like big things I got to tell him, and he was just like, I mean, when I started making an okay living at music, he was just flabbergasted. Like, he was always so supportive. He came from a very different world from his career and was just always so proud and so like astonished that, not in a bad way, that it worked, that it could work. And he was always the most proud, like, of anybody. Because I didn't perform, I didn't sing until after high school. So when he got to hear me like perform in that way and communicate musically in that way, I think he was just from then on just so. Yeah.
So he got to hear the version of...
Yeah,
okay.
he did, yeah.
Yeah.
And, he showed me so much music, and he's not a musician himself. And
what were his
sing.
favorites?
He was, he had a pretty good variety. Well, the stuff that, like, I laugh about that he loved was, like, Moody Blues and...
it's like all dads, right?
Yeah, just, like, vibing on the groove. But he loved Simon Garfunkel. He loved, of course I'm blanking now. Beach Boys. Grew up with a ton of Beach Boys. Beatles, obviously. But yeah, like the oldies station, which is funny in hindsight because we're talking about like what oldies now are to us.
I mean, I think like the Killers were played on the oldies station.
Yeah,
like,
Nirvana.
Stop it.
Nirvana was on the oldies station, and I'm like,
well, at least I've kind of accepted. I'm like, okay, 90s, but I'm like, do not touch the 2000s.
Yeah.
I was an adult in the 2000s.
Yeah, I still have that shirt.
Oh, and total non sequitur. But I did want to acknowledge too. After we placed your song in Teen Wolf, you wrote me this really beautiful note, and I got it on a day where I was like, oh my God, I'm having a real rough day right now, and it just was like exactly what I needed at the right time. So thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome.
Yeah, no, it's just really nice. Like, because, we kind of operate in the vacuum and that's like honestly the funnest part of the job is like,
getting to have a conversation like this.
Yeah, and that just like music that we love makes an impact and helps, like that is the best part. But we don't always hear from everybody. Whatever, anyway. And I'm not that we look for I don't need everybody to be like, thank you. But it just was really heartfelt, and it really meant a lot. And I have it saved somewhere.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I feel very grateful to be able to be on your podcast and also have a relationship. And, as we're all growing and getting older, like, it's like, well, you should make that connection because this is it. And people should know if they impacted you in a good way, especially.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice to say the things. Like, even if like, oh, yeah, but I think it's nice to just say the things. So
yeah.
So the burning question on everybody's mind:
Ooh.
What does SYML mean?
No, I know. Yeah, it's a hard one. I picked it, or actually, I'll give credit to my wife. She helped me pick it because picking band names is very hard.
Yeah. And
I had a little list going, and SYML is a Welsh word that means simple, and I picked it as it's sort of like how I choose tattoos. They're like reminder things. Like, it's like a continuous reminder to just try to keep everything simple musically, in life, in love, in aesthetic. That's like the end goal for me a lot of the times is to keep it simple. So, but I picked it not knowing that I would have to sort of like identify with it like as to publicly,
right?
Because it's hard to people think it's an acronym or like a hip lo-fi DJ or something, instead of just like these incredibly sad songs.
For like
exactly, yeah.
Something, yeah.
I always tell people that it means shit your mom likes, and that's that's the way that you can remember it.
Stuff your mom likes.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Stuff. This is a PG
No,
pod.
it's fine.
So anyway, yeah, it's like we were just joking about it. Like people don't know how to say it. Like in hindsight, if I had been like putting my marketing hat on, I probably wouldn't have picked SYML.
What's the worst you've heard it or like what have
I get Smile. Like people mess it up the order. SYML, but most often people are just like SYML. I love you.
Really?
Like that's.
I mean, my autocorrect thinks it's symbol every time.
Okay, yeah.
Like when we've been like texting, I'm like, I'm sorry, you know who I'm talking about. Like symbol is coming.
I got simp once, SYMP.
Yes.
Because L and P are pretty close on the keyboard, and they're like, tell simp that his song in this scene, like from somebody kind of high up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you, thank you, ma'am."
So funny.
But I love knowing them. Even in our conversation 10 minutes ago or an hour ago,
Yeah.
I didn't know the simple was the message in it. Like knowing your music, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah, like
that's the
sometimes you
beauty of
don't
it.
even know that. Like you were just starting out, and then look how it's like.
Full circled
Yeah.
it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for asking.
It also reminds me of like another beautiful sad song called "Simple as It Should Be" by Tristan Prettyman. Do you know? Did you ever?
I know
hear
who that is, but yeah.
It's on my wedding mix. But anyway, because it's actually like a love song. I don't even think it feels sad, but the lyrics are not sad. That's what a lot of like Laura and I have been
Yes.
going back and forth. We're like, is this a sad song? It feels sad, but like it's not sad enough. Or
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Like,
So.
well, another burning
Yes.
question. What are your favorite sad songs?
I think my ultimate favorite sad song is a Damien Rice song called "Accidental Babies," and it's just in the title. Like it's kind of disarming.
Yeah.
But that it's my interpretation of that song is that it's about like an affair, and understanding the weight that they're causing the other people in their lives, but that they were following what they thought was good, and how like twisted love can be, and understanding of yourself, and all these things. In the way that it's recorded, it's just this sort of bare piano performance with his voice, which is really special. So that's, and I definitely had that song found me in a time in life where I was like starting to understand how my actions really affected other people in love and in general. So that one always gets me. You mentioned Jeff Buckley, who is a huge influence of mine, as he is to many others, but his version of Lilac Wine is really, really sad to me. It feels almost like, and maybe this is something around when you come of age and maybe try drinking or other substances that elevate you a little bit outside of your body. That song feels like drunk to me, and the kind of drunk where like you're just sort of like hazy. Like, I mean, that's the actual lyric from the song, but where everything is just like floating, almost asleep, and sings about love and again, not maybe on the face of it the saddest song, but to me it feels so sad.
I'd say I think everything of his is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think everything. And yeah, I mean there is that like layer, like it just feels like
Blurry
yeah,
and
yeah.
but it also really cathartic.
Yeah.
Like it feels like I want to be there, like I want to stay there, and it's not full of pain
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah. It's a mindset or something.
Yeah.
I love that you said you feel drunk because I feel like that's how we talk about songs,
Yeah.
right? You listen and you associate a feeling with it. I mean, it's kind of our.
There's a Chet Baker. These are all like parts of my life where I heard the song and I was just totally floored by it. There's a song, I'm not the hugest jazz head, but Chet Baker has a song called Everything Happens to Me. And it's like, the lyrics are sort of campy, but again, with like his delivery and, I mean, that, again, like Jeff Buckley, like it's a heavy heart and like a heavy life. And Chet Baker certainly had one, but the way he sings it is just like so resigned to things just happening to him, but it's beautiful at the same time.
That's the thing. I think sad songs find you and maybe like, or it hits you at a certain time and you're in a place in your life, but then it's just like that attachment. It'll always be like, oh, that was when I broke up with this person.
Right.
Or I think that's also the interesting part of asking people their favorite songs because you're like, yeah, like where were you in your life? Like what you connected with it. And,
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of answered it earlier, but our other typical question is, what do you think makes a song sad?
Honesty. I don't know, because I think that you could show me a variety of songs where I might judge it by its cover or something, or by like the way somebody's singing, and it actually might turn out that that's not the intention and that is not how I'll hear it in a week. So I sometimes songs are really sneaky and like a Trojan horse of sadness where you read it one way and then you're like, oh my gosh, oh no.
And then it hits.
And then it hits, yeah. Obviously, the voice is a huge part of that, and how they're speaking the words. But you can have just, whether it's like Olafur Arnalds or like my gosh, Max Richter, zero voice, and everything, again, going back to those instruments that are organic and timeless, really, as far as we're concerned, to be able to convey that sense of I keep going back to that word wailing, but like, you know, where you can't hold it back and your body just sort of goes into a state. Yeah.
Well, that's even your song, "The Day My Father Died." Like, it's kind of performed. I mean, the
Yeah.
words are not like,
Yeah.
but it sort of starts happy, and like
Yeah.
I interpreted it almost as like that was the journey,
Yeah.
like, and just sort of like we shouldn't, you know, like, yes, we're sad, obviously.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sad, but also like he wouldn't want me to be,
Right.
and like the takeaways of life, and like how I'm gonna live my life going forward. But I loved that because it felt like, yeah, it is sad,
Yeah.
but like it's also we're celebrating who he was, and like, yeah. But
And what
I
they
love
want and
that.
all
Like,
yeah,
it's
that
such a
that last verse that you talked about, like that verse gets me.
Oh,
because
God.
it's like him speaking, and gosh, yeah, like the being able to love yourself and being able to care for those, right? Because if you can't do that, then you can't care for other people and all that. Man, yeah.
Yeah.
So sad.
yeah. I'm like, wait a
But
minute.
really bright and hopeful at the
No,
same
but
time.
I just thought, yeah, the way you crafted that was really clever. And because I'm like, wait a second. I'm listening and I'm like, it's kind of upbeat, but
Yeah.
the lyric, like, what? And then you're like, oh, God, okay. So kudos.
No,
but,
thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank
This
you.
was
Thank you
such
for
a fun
having us.
conversation.
Or-
Yeah.
What did I say?
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
having Laura.
Thank you for coming to my
today.
podcast.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Brian, thank you for being here. This was so awesome. It was a really simple and beautiful conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today on Sad Song Queens, because you always need a good cry. We will link these songs on our show page, but please go and listen and stream these songs. It helps the artists immensely.
We want to thank the Songwriting School of Los Angeles for letting us record live in their studio. Huge thanks to Brian Fennell, Ben Levin, Network Records, and Warner Chappell.
Special production thanks to Rob Seals, Wes Hutchinson, Keahu Kahuanui, Miles Bergsma, Kathleen Smith, Wyatt Rouse, Cheryl Mullingbayan, and our researcher Emily Cartham. Theme song by Weezer, All My Favorite Songs, and outro music by Wyatt Rouse.
Hi, it's Lindsay from the Sad Song Queens podcast. You may have heard us allude to Rob or thank Rob Seals and the Songwriting School of Los Angeles at the end of our podcast. He has been so kind to let us record in his studio, and the Songwriting School is an awesome place. If you want to learn how to songwrite, record, or even information how to release or sync your song, there's a class for that.
The Songwriting School of Los Angeles is devoted to the artistry and industry of songs. To learn more, go to thesongwritingschool.com, where you can learn more or enroll in classes.